final player for the mixed zone. Now, I know that people were looking at having this embargoed to midday tomorrow, so that's Sunday the 20th of March, midday embargo on this content, please. And we will start with, Nick, you gone? Do you still want to kick it off? Or?
Alan, many congratulations on the milestone and the landmark. Obviously a great achievement personally, but how much does the performance, the result, detract from your own personal feelings?
Well, that was the focus. Obviously, there's lots been said about the milestone and all the emotive stuff. But I said when I did a couple of interviews in the week, still it was about the rugby and the win. Being one of the players that's come into the squad, you try to add to everything. So it's obviously on a personal level disappointed that with the result, obviously, and it is what it is in many ways, but we've got to focus on the rugby sometimes.
What do you think was lacking as a team from today's performance then?
Obviously, I think the discipline and being a yard off at the breakdown in the first half. In credit to the Italians, I thought they kicked well. I'm punished on a few counters. I think Ioane was all but hemmed in a couple of times, but I don't know how he got out of jail and turned a lot of pressure into attack for them. So credit to them and the way they dealt with the aerial game, the kicking game.
You've obviously seen it all in terms of ups and downs over your time in a Wales shirt. How do you go about recovering from a result like this and get heading in the right direction again?
I think it's a bit cliched. I think most of you have heard it before. You probably, when you win, you win a game next week. When you want to lose, when you lose, you win a game next week as well. In equal measure. It'll be interesting to see. I think what happens in the summer. Wayne's been pretty candid up until this point in the amount of changes that he's made. We suffered a bit of pain in the results, and we have today again. But I'm sure he's going to draw a line in the sand going forward and select a squad that he's going to build into the World Cup.
And for yourself, how strong is your desire to be part of that summer tour and the plans for the World Cup next year?
Well, like I say, I had a plan to get to this point. There's still probably, because I've been injured, I think probably need to potentially adjust that and see what happens this summer, but I'm still contracted, and obviously Wayne and Boothie will be in talks for that.
Okay, coming to Beth.
Thank you.
Hey Alan, nice to see you. I'm sure you've missed us all. Firstly, before we talk about rugby, can I just ask what it was like walking out with your daughters? Because I was very teary, and it's nothing to do with me. I was no, I can't really.
I think look, I've put myself in a hole emotively in front of enough of you guys over the years. I'm not going to do that now, but I said to, I think it was Sonia on Thursday or Friday, I'm not sure, but I think when you do something long enough, and my first was in Patagonia, my 50th was in Twickenham, 100th in Eden Park, there comes a point where you want to be able to share it with your family. I think that was a big stick and carrot for me. Obviously it's almost third attempt in the fact of obviously we've all been in the midst of a 2-year pandemic, and we lost a few games there. I got injured in the autumn, and then again, like I say, the stick and carrot was there, and Wayne said from the outset that there would be potential opportunity could I feature, and I'm happy to prove my worth there.
Well, I know you hate to talk about personal milestones, so let's talk about the game. It's such a frustrating one to have to come and speak to you, not just when it is a loss, but with that type of performance. Are you worried at all about the progress Wales aren't making, or can you see progress in the Wayne Pivak, and can you see you really competing in 18 months' time at a World Cup?
Yeah, well, it definitely can get better, can't it? We won't pull any punches on that. But I think we've got to potentially rewind a little bit, pre-12 months. There was a big thing about giving opportunity to players, and Strength in depth potentially we haven't had. I think there's a great deal more players and number of caps that have been unearthed or awarded, however you want to term it. So the melting pot of players is, larger. It's down to us then to, or Wayne to get the squad and then the players to, essentially put a better product on the park. Excuse me.
Out of your 150 appearances, where does that lie in terms of frustration? Because it looked at times that it just wasn't going Wales' way in any kind of part of the park.
Yeah, the funny thing is, I think in international rugby there are arm wrestles all the time, and I think in credit to Italy, you look at a couple of previous performances, they've done that, and I think they were able to stay in the arm wrestle for longer today. You can't deny the frustration, but sometimes you're architects of your own, failures, and I think probably we were for parts of the game today.
Just last word from me. Obviously, there's been this whole thing in Welsh rugby about regional rugby and Welsh rugby kind of papering up the cracks because it's been such a terrific decade or so. Now that Wales aren't, delivering Grand Slams and championships and wins, people are now worried more about kind of the overall kind of state of Welsh rugby. Do you think that's fair? Or where would you see it as a player who's been around through it all?
Well, I think, we had a championship last year, but that seems to be forgotten pretty quickly, doesn't it? In the midst of a pandemic as well, with all those other things going on. And the stuff that resonates for a player is that when we were on for the Grand Slam, we were termed the potential worst team ever to be on for a Grand Slam. Admittedly, we didn't win it, but as a player group, there's belief there individually and collectively. I think there's always going to be woes within the regional setup because of the tug between both, and the questions about relationships, etc. But I think it's very easy to forget the things again that have, teams have had to overcome, particularly from a regional point of view this year. Yes, they could be deemed as excuses, but there's been a lot of things that have been able to add to the difficulties that rugby's faced in Wales.
Thank you very much. Great to see you back on the pitch and back on here as well.
Okay, going to Daniel and then Alex, and then we'll be done.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes,
Yep.
we can.
Hi then. Just on your personal performance, how did you feel physically in over the 60 minutes you played, and how does that affect your belief moving forward in terms of, does it give you more confidence looking forward ahead to next year in the World Cup and the summer, or do you feel like, how would you assess your physical performance?
Well, I haven't had a look yet, Dan, so you tell me.
In my opinion, it doesn't matter. I just mean, how did you feel out there?
Pretty good, I think. We do a lot of 15 on 15, have been for a while, so I enjoyed it, to be honest with you. I think irrelevant of how difficult we made it for ourselves at times, I thought it was, we were up around 100 metres per minute in the first 10-20 minutes. Have a look at the GPS. So it was a quick start, obviously, because it was loose with the kicking battle, etc. But I felt pretty good, considering. I'm sure people will disagree with that, but I'll have to have a look to be more precise with my self-critique, I suppose.
Just looking at the tournament as a whole, and I suppose this team as a whole, you've had a chance now to see it from the outside when you were injured, and obviously from the inside now over the last couple of weeks. I just wondered what your assessment is. Obviously, there will be a lot of criticism in the wake of this. I just wondered what errors or areas you see you feel there needs to be improvement, and what you make compared to the inevitable criticism that will follow.
Sorry, with the tournament itself, or with Wales? Sorry.
With the state of the team now and looking forward ahead to South Africa in the World Cup.
I think it's perceptions. I think results promote chatter and obviously opinion, and like you said, rightly said, that the inevitable criticism that will come always does, and it will. Had we won with a plethora of points, it would have been the other way then, and it would have been focused on the opposition. So there's inevitably going to be that critique, but that's what comes with playing professional rugby in Wales.
And just finally, Dan Bigger after the game said he thinks that this could be the last point for several players in terms of the chances they've had. I just wondered what you made of that, and you mentioned all the caps that have been given out, and there's been a lot of change. I just wondered what you kind of make of the state of the squad moving forward.
Well, I think I've already answered that about regards to, there's going to be probably a line in the sand for Wayne. I think we're just over 18 months out, so he's going to probably, I'd assume so. He's going to shave that squad down to the people that they want to work with. But again, I don't think we can be too brazen and say that, because we're a small player base anyway. So you always have to be conscious of that.
Thank you.
Okay, and we'll finish with Alex.
Alun Wyn, you mentioned the summer tour earlier. Given that you've had the two, obviously the same shoulder injury, you kind of alluded to it previously, might you sort of have to miss out that tour, do you think, just to manage yourself through, or how would you assess it? No,
conversely, the other way around, because obviously I haven't played. You probably misinterpreted it, because I didn't play in the autumn, and obviously less games than I would have liked in the Six Nations. It purely depends whether Wayne wants to take me or not, and again, it's that relationship between region and club, and I'm sure I'll find out in due course.
I just wondered, lastly from me, the fact that you obviously injured the same shoulder, I mean, just how concerning was that for you? Obviously you made a very quick recovery for the Lions and then did the same one again. Just how concerning was that for you? Oh,
I think that's gone now. We've got to move on, Al. I think a lot's been said about that by at the time and other people, so just I'm conscious that I got to look forward.
Okay.
And the fact that you sorry Verity.
Well, this
and
is
the fact that you
then.
go on.
No, you can go, Alex. Your last one.
Go on.
I was just going to say, Alan, you don't want to miss any rugby, and you've alluded to it there, but conversely, do you think that actually might help you with 2023 in mind?
Again, it depends on how much I can get in between now and then and beyond. But it's part of the plan, and if the plan is the plan, and if that needs to change, I'm sure it will.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, Gareth, sorry, I've just seen your hand go up. Did you want one final question?
Yeah, just one very quick one, Alun Wyn. Welcome back. Great to see you back. Just a quick one. Just for complete clarity's sake, that Wayne alluded to in the week, are you now contracted through to the 2023 World Cup?
Is that what Wayne said? I think that's what he said, wasn't it? Hello?
Can you hear me, Verity?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah. That's what he said.
Yeah.
That's lovely. Thank you.
Okay.
I just wanted to clear that up.
Sorry,
Thank you
I'm
very
a bit confused now. Sorry.
Yeah. Thanks all.
much. Thank you.
Session has ended and we'll share the links afterwards.